media, ladies and gentlemen. First time, 3 years ago, I was standing here and I was saying that welcome to the 100 and something AGM, so 167th AGM of the MCCI. Tradition, history, consistency, perseverance, commitment. I think we are here because of you all, and I would like to thank you very much for your presence this morning. I would also like to thank our ministers because they've also got a very busy schedule. So I would not spend too much time today on introductory remarks. I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Industry, Commerce and Consumer Protection, Honorable Ashit Ganga, to deliver his speech.
I've got a very busy day today, and I talked to Helen, and she agreed to my talking first in this meeting we are having. Let me salute my colleague and good friend, Honorable Sunil Bola, Minister of Business, Enterprise and Cooperatives, Mrs. Hélène Chevet, President of the MCCI, Mr. Raju Jaju, Secretary General, members of the diplomatic corps, officials of the public sector and private sector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to all of you. I'm indeed very pleased to be amongst you today on the occasion of the annual general meeting of the Mauritius Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for extending an invitation to me and for giving me the opportunity to address you a few words. Mauritius has been facing economic and social stagnation until the recent past. For social stability, economic development and social upliftment are required. And as you all know, the philosophy of the government is to have an equilibrium between social and economic values. Sans la stabilité sociale, il n'y a pas de progrès économique. In that perspective, achieving sustainable growth and bringing Mauritius to a high-income country, we are bold. In that perspective, achieving sustainable growth and bringing Mauritius to a high-income country are very bold and challenging objectives. Government on its own cannot achieve these objectives unless there is a synergy between the private and the public sectors. Government is acting as a development partner for the private sector. We are making all efforts possible to facilitate business, keeping in view the exigencies of a highly competitive international situation in which we have to operate. For example, recently we have had the case of CMT, which was considering to delocalize from Mauritius for a destination where the cost of production were much lower. We do realize the implications of such a decision, not only for the economy, but also on employment. Indeed, job creation, as you all know, is one of the biggest challenges countries worldwide are facing. Government, being conscious of the terrible, not to say disastrous, consequences of CMT leaving the Mauritian soil, reacted promptly. As you all know, we had discussions at high level, and we reacted promptly and took the necessary decisions to resolve the issues that our industrialists were facing. And it wasn't a solution that was found only for one company, but for several majors of this sector. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, the government is presently working on the roadmap to achieve the second economic miracle and to realize Vision 2030. In this context, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is personally chairing the joint public-private sector steering committee on a regular basis. You imagine if the Right Honourable Prime Minister is himself chairing such a committee, you can realize the importance that he's giving to the private sector. We need you, and we need you for the future. We're all living in a country, and we have a legacy to leave for the next generation. And I think we all want to leave the country so that the next generation can live peacefully, happily in a country where there is progress, there is development, and where everybody feels secure. With the increase in international competition and challenges facing Mauritius, systems at my ministry are being re-engineered to ensure that processes and procedures are smooth and less cumbersome. The overall objective is to accelerate trade liberalization and the ease of doing business. In this context, my ministry has removed another 8 items from the list of control goods over the past year, whereby import permits are no longer required for these items. In this way, we are facilitating trade. In line with the e-government strategy, my ministry has started implementing the Single Window Project, which is known as the Mauritius Trade Link, and which has now become an imperative economic operating tool, resulting in unnecessary red tapeism, bureaucracy, and form filling are reduced, if not eliminated. Moreover, with the globalization effect, we should ensure a fair trading environment for the benefit of our population and local enterprises, while maintaining quality standards. There is a need to review, to update, and to bring new regulations in some sectors. You all know the holding of trade fairs and exhibitions were adversely affecting businesses, and the owners of shops and traders were facing unfair competition. Regulations governing these activities had to be overhauled, and since last month, my ministry has come up with a new set of regulations which provides an equal playing level field between local operators. The new regulations spell out more stringent measures so that trade fairs are held in a more organized manner and for the benefit of consumers. Lastly, I will touch upon another sector which needs redress, namely the importation and sale of second-hand motor vehicles. I have received numerous complaints from the general public and representations from their stakeholders on the importation of damaged vehicles and alleged fraud in this sector. My ministry will soon come with new regulatory framework incorporating more restrictive conditions for the importation and sale of such types of vehicles. I'm sure you yourself have known persons who have bought certain cars, but unfortunately after a few months only had problems with these vehicles, and such type of business cannot continue. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, my ministry is strongly committed to continue the reform process and to innovate in order to further enhance the framework within which industrialists and the business community evolve. I am confident that the collaboration that has been instilled between the public and private sectors is providing a new impetus to the economic and social development of the country. I thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to call upon Madame Hélène Echeva, our President, to deliver her speech. Thank you.
Authorities, Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, high officials of the public sector, chairpersons and CEOs of fellow private sector organizations, distinguished guests, members of the MCCI, representative of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome you to the 167th Annual General Meeting of the Mauritius Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I would like to first extend my special thanks to our ministers who have honored us with their presence today. It is a strong testimony to the continuous dialogue that exists between the government and the private sector. The State of Economy Address is a well-established tradition at the MCCI. It is an opportunity for us to voice out the views of our members, be they SMEs or large corporates. We are here to share our appraisal of the economy, to point out the barriers to the conduct of business, and also to point out some of the challenges facing our country. Most importantly, however, we are here to look at the future, at the opportunities and prospects, and how we can all contribute to bring positive change to our country. Ladies and gentlemen, we are faced with an unprecedented uncertainty in the world economic context. For yet another year since 2009 of global economic crisis, the world economy stumbled. While major high-income countries experience a modest recovery, emerging and developing economies continue to be affected by a slowdown in economic activity. On the upside, there has been a significant fall in oil and other commodity prices over the last year, and we, as an importing nation, have definitely benefited from it. Nonetheless, structural reforms in China, increased volatility in a number of advanced economies, and geopolitical tensions in the emerging nation have all piled up to create a world environment where growth remains lethargic. The Mauritian economy performance is highly reliant on the world economy. We are today faced with the triple challenge of high unemployment, low inflation, and modest economic growth. In 2015, our GDP growth was estimated at 3.4%, a repeat of the previous year. This is far from an average growth of 5% and above achieved in the years preceding the global financial crisis. Furthermore, as shown in the last MCCI economic perspective, for the last decade, we have been growing below our optimal capacity, and there has been a general fall in our productivity levels. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, in the last decade, the pace of change in our economy has slowed down. We are in Mauritius at the crossroads where bold measures and quick wins are essential to bring back confidence in the economy. It is today vital that the government uses its two main tools, the monetary tool, and the fiscal tool, to transform our economic path. In a communiqué of finance ministers of the G20 G20 group of nations released end of last month, it was pointed out that monetary policy alone would be insufficient to boost growth in the global economy. The Mauritian economy has for a number of years been in a phase where supply is higher than demand, marked by a deflationary pressures and a non-reversal of the unemployment trend. It is no secret that consumption is one of the major components supporting growth in Mauritius. Despite an increase of 2.9% in the past year, we are far from our long-term consumption growth patterns, which was at 6.4% in 2005. In fact, in the last few years, consumption expenditure has been pallid, growing at less than 3% annually compared to the pre-crisis consumption growth of more than 5%. 3% is very low. More could be done to stimulate domestic consumption and to drive demand. For example, a single measure such as the extension of the VAT refund to departing Mauritian nationals and the diaspora has a high potential. Today, more and more people are spending their income in countries other than Mauritius, contributing to an outflow of foreign currency. We have estimated that the amount of local consumption foregone nears 4 billion rupee marks, representing 1.2% of our GDP. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, let me come to the issue of that is the level of investment in our economy. Much has been said on investment in the recent years. It has been a much debated topic, and we all agree that investment and growth are linked. And the rate of investment has been on a continuous fall since 2012, reaching an all-time low of 7.8% last year. This is reflected by the MCCI Business Confidence Indicator, which has been in the static territory since then. When we compare the investment rate last year to the 26% achieved in 2009, we understand that there is a real issue at hand. At times of low economic performance, it is essential for public investment to provide the necessary boost to the economy. When companies defer their investment due to low confidence in the economy, when demand is sluggish, it is vital that the government breaks the vicious cycle by boosting public investment. Increases in public investment will result in higher demand for investment goods, which therefore encourage supply. By snowball effect, it will boost economic activity, increase recruitment, income, as well as consumption. Here we need to acknowledge the efforts of our decision makers to boost public investment, whether through the port expansion, new runway at the airport, and the road decongestion program. Nonetheless, between 2012 and 2015, public investment has in total increased by a mere 2%. It is therefore critical, according to us, to boost public investment in 2016. With the recently announced introduction of the Build, Operate, Transfer Project Bill, we could consider the light railway project, which will go a long way to alleviating the transport problems. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, for the last decade, investment in the productive sectors of the economy has been growing modestly. Moreover, FDI inflows in the manufacturing sector have been unable to match those of 2012 and is at its lowest for a decade, only at 24 million inflows recorded for 2015. To boost investment in the private sector, to attract new investment in our economy, it is necessary to adopt strong measures. Firstly, our institution, whether public or private, should adopt the leading by example concept. Our institutions need to be modern, efficient, and inspiring. It is perhaps high time to consider the possibility of setting up an economic development board in Mauritius, similar to advanced and successful economies such as Singapore. The board would act as a central entity for planning and implementing strategies to enhance and promote the country as a destination for investors and the promotion of export throughout the world. We need a consistent and unified approach to avoid duplication and increase efficiency. Secondly, with a global competition for FDI, Mauritius has to propose specific attractive packages to differentiate itself. A tax holiday on technology-intensive enterprises investing in productive sectors could be one of the solutions. Mauritius is a net importer. Furthermore, we are faced with intense international competition. Our economy has been, up to now, resilient to political and policy fluctuations in the world economy. But with a population of 1.2 million people, we have no choice but to improve our exports. And to achieve better results in terms of exports, we need first a clear and aggressive export strategy. We have been closely associated to the consultation and the elaboration of the national export strategy alongside with ITC experts, and we look forward to the recommendation and its implementation. Second, we need a clear, modern connectivity strategy. For us to diversify our economy, it is important to increase our connectivity, mostly to the African region. We highly welcome, in this respect, the Asia-Africa Air Corridor initiative of the government. The rethinking of our air access policy has the potential to open up our markets, create jobs, and through a multiplier effect, have an enormous impact on the country's economic development when fully implemented. We need to be able to exploit the vast potential of the African region if we are to remain credible on our long-proclaimed gateway for business in Africa. It is also timely for our national carrier to be assigned clearer objectives when it comes to the economic development of the country. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, it is not surprising that doing business in today's landscape is not easy feat. It is therefore essential to go for efficiency at all steps. Such tools like the Trade Obstacle Alert Mechanism and the Single Window are important to improving the business environment. But we are far from our potential. One of the main reasons why other countries attract high level of foreign investment is because they have been ranked very highly in the ease of doing business report released by the World Bank in the recent years. We, in Mauritius, are ranked 32nd. The Ease of Doing Business report is a major tool which regroups more than 100 economic indicators on the economic and business environment of the country. we have the potential to be one of the countries with the most conducive business climate in the world. While this should be our long-term aim, Mauritius has, in the next 5 years, the potential to be ranked in the top 10 economies worldwide in terms of ease of doing business. To achieve this, there is a need to correct a number of inconsistencies in the regulation and needless taxes and levies that have been added over the years and that are eroding a large part of the competitive advantage we had over economies similar to ours. Last year, the MCCI conducted an econometric analysis of the impact of indicators of the ease of doing business on economic growth. It shows that by adopting necessary measures, the economic growth rate can reach the 6% mark in the short to medium term. It is quite inconceivable that, for instance, that it takes nearly 8 months to set up a manufacturing unit in Mauritius. For us to be in the top 10 in the ease of doing business indicated, we need to be able to decrease the time it takes for such procedures. In New Zealand, the cost relative to the creation of an enterprise is at 0.3% as compared to 2% in Mauritius. The MCCI has been advocating for the setting up of a single licensing unit for application and payment for the past 2 years now. For us to be in the top 10, we need to make a bold decision on our corporate taxation rates. Indeed, though taxation is at 15% today, the effective tax rate is at nearly 23% compared to 18.4% in Singapore, for example. In Mauritius, there are a number of indirect taxes and levies that are currently affecting businesses which need to be reviewed. For us to be in the top 10, we need to address the high freight-related cost affecting our businesses. Over the last decade, the latter has increased by more than 4%, and businesses are today faced with around $600 of charges and costs associated with the import and export of one container of goods. In Switzerland, for example, these charges are at a third of what we pay, $200. For us to be in the top 10, we need to address the high cost associated to registering properties. In Mauritius today, this is at more than 10% of the cost of the property as compared to the United States, Denmark, Switzerland, and Estonia, where it is less than 1%. We have a huge margin available, and we need to be able to decrease the cost of registering property in the short run. These are just few areas of quick improvement, but the scope is within reach. While it is essential to work towards easing the business environment, there is also need to transform our economic model. Our entrepreneurs can and will only be competitive if the levels of productivity are restored. Indeed, it is innovation and productivity that are the engines of economic growth. Without innovation in processes, products, and business models, without a sustained increase in the productivity of labor and capital, it is impossible for the country to move forward. In this respect, we fully support the government's initiative of promoting innovation as the next phase of development for Mauritius. As a first step, we need to boost investment in research and innovation which stands today at only 0.18% of our GDP. We remain convinced that the way forward for a country like Mauritius is to foster a culture of innovation by providing a preferential regime. Our innovation policy should be designed to increase innovation activities, create and maintain high-value jobs, and foster global leadership in patented technology. The onus will be on us as entrepreneurs to invest in innovative processes, in technology-intensive industry, in knowledge and know-how to adapt to an ever-changing economy. One of the emerging innovation-driven industries with a big potential is the life sciences. Faced with healthcare spending cutbacks by government in a number of advanced and emerging economies, life science companies worldwide have demonstrated an incredible ability to adapt to increasingly rapid changes in markets. There is a vast potential to make this country a leader in the life science through innovation processes, and our industrials have been doing a formidable job so far. Today, the medical device industry all alone contributes to more than 1% of our export. This is quite remarkable for an industry that is still in its early phase. The export of medical devices from Mauritius has been increasing at an exponential rate of 20% annually in the last decades. That's huge. The possibilities are vast for this industry. With an enabling environment, a state-of-the-art logistics system for handling of biotech and pharmaceutical products, the opportunity is there for us to lay the foundation of a robust life sciences industry. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, we might very well be at an inflection point of our history. It is our responsibility to ride the current opportunities, to tackle the barriers, and to help our country on its way towards a sustainable, resilient, and dynamic economy. It is in this very spirit that the MCCI has recently presented its Vision 2030 blueprint entitled The Tipping Point. We are certain that our evidence-based policy advocacy shall be considered positively. On our long-term partnership with the government on issues of national interest, it's taking a new shape, and we remain committed to fostering a strong, competitive economic environment that benefits businesses. It's almost the end. During this year with the MCCI team, I often said, hey guys, think out of the box. And one day, one of our team members told me gently, Hélène, what box are you talking about? Be modern. It is now time to think as if there is no box. Il fallait que je dise un petit mot en français quand même. Pour conclure, laissez-moi citer Ernest Renan, un philosophe du 19e siècle. Renan dit, simplement, ce sont les idées qui mènent le monde. There is no limit for ideas and innovation when the objectives are clear. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. I am pleased now to welcome Minister Bola to address you.
Mrs. Hélène Eshver, President of the MCCI, Mr. Raju Jadu, Secretary General MCCI, Captains of Industry, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. In fact, I have listened to the speech of Ellen, wherein there are valid suggestions, and I will see to it that I will see with your successor how much or how many of these suggestions we can work on rapidly, and as you pointed out, those quick wins that will change the method that we do business in Mauritius here. It gives me great pleasure to be among you today on the occasion of the 167th AGM of the MCCI. From the very outset, I wish to express my sincere appreciation of the strong commitment and constructive contribution of the Chamber in the business landscape of Mauritius. I also wish to highlight that throughout the past 160 years or so, the MCCI, as the main voice of the Mauritian business community, has always maintained a very close link with government and has thus been actively involved in the development process of our country. I feel honored to have the opportunity of sharing my insight as Minister of Business, Enterprise and Cooperatives with such an impressive gathering of notable representatives of the business community. As you are aware, the priority axes of the economic agenda of government are expressed in Vision 2030, which sets a roadmap for the country's economic future. Government clearly considers the business sector as having the potential to be a major driving force within the Mauritian economy. The small and medium business sector, which makes up the bulk of our economic tissue, is particularly fundamental to generating revenue, employment, economic growth, and prosperity within the country. This government believes that investing in SMEs is a long-term and smart strategy with sustainable returns that will inevitably multiply across the country as well as in the region. For the past 9 years, Mauritius had registered an average economic growth rate of around 3% annually. Within Vision 2030, government is targeting an average growth rate of 5.5% annually as from 2017. Our objective is to attain a GDP per capita of far more than $13,500 by year 2018. To materialize this ambition, we have no other choice than to be bold and to ensure that the country as a whole espouses the philosophy of Vision 2030. Our recourse is to build on our existing economic setup and to create new opportunities to ignite growth across all our economic sectors. And most importantly, it is imperative that we trigger the development of new economic avenues. Globalization is obviously benefiting Mauritius' efforts to diversify the economy, but it is also taking a toll on traditional export sectors, which are affected by loss of competitiveness, in part due to loss of preferential access to export markets. As some of this preferential access winds down, questions inevitably arise about how to raise value addition in the sector, diversify into closed markets, and explore investment opportunities in the region. There are no magical solutions, but only opportunities to be seized. That is why it is vital that growth strategies are constantly reviewed in all sectors by government as well as the private sector. In its overall strategy to transform the economy, government is betting on a revamped and dynamic manufacturing base with clearly identified focus on promoting high-end, precision-driven, and technology-enabled manufacturing in the country. Manufacturing today accounts for about 18% of our economy, and we aim to increase its share significantly to 25% within the next 3 years. Here, we have already provided the necessary support mechanism to attract more players in high precision engineering, food processing, pharmaceutical products, jewelry, and watchmaking, amongst others. In any event, we have already embarked on our economic journey with confidence and zeal. This government has gone quite far in terms of fiscal and other incentives to give a new impetus to the economy and to recreate a feel-good factor among the economic operators. The business confidence indicator for the fourth quarter of 2015 released by the Chamber in February, showing an increase of 6%, is an indication that we are going in the right direction. All the more so that the index is at its highest level since third quarter 2012. There are definitely challenging areas that are holding back the potential of our economy to accelerate growth, but I am confident that we will achieve great things with a concerted effort of one and all. Mesdames et messieurs, il est évident que malgré toutes les mesures incitatives ou de facilitation du gouvernement à destination des entrepreneurs, comme MyBiz pour les PME par exemple, nous devons nous rendre à l'évidence quant au fait que le marché mauricien est immuablement restreint. Il est donc primordial que les entrepreneurs mauriciens conçoivent leurs produits ou services de manière qu'ils soient exportables, afin d'assurer leur pérennité. Deux stratégies s'inscrivant dans cette ligne d'idées sont particulièrement pertinentes. D'une part, la National Export Strategy sera un instrument catalyseur qui, dans un paysage concurrentiel, répondra aux attentes des exportateurs mauriciens subissant une érosion de leur traitement préférentiel sur le marché international. Il est ainsi prévu que le secteur manufacturier gagnera en productivité et en compétitivité. D'autre part, la Africa Strategy vise à faire de Maurice une plateforme régionale en termes de commerce, d'investissement et de services. Nous avons la possibilité d'émerger comme un partenaire économique compétitif pour l'Afrique, dont il est d'ailleurs beaucoup question depuis quelque temps dans les discussions entre les acteurs politiques et économiques du monde entier. Nous assistons à un repositionnement géostratégique sans précédent, voire même une réhabilitation de l'Afrique en termes de perception, d'attractivité et de potentialité en termes de développement économique. L'Afrique est passée d'une économie de production à une économie de consommation. Il est prévu que le nombre de consommateurs africains passera à 2 milliards d'ici 2050. Imaginez le potentiel que cela représente pour les entreprises mauriciennes. D'autant plus que l'île Maurice est en posture favorable dans ce contexte d'embellie africaine. Nous sommes membres de communautés économiques fortes de la région, la SADC et COMESA. Nous bénéficions d'un large réseau de traités bilatéraux avec bon nombre de pays africains. Le Board of Investment a signé des MOUs avec une quinzaine de pays en Afrique. La MCCI a noué des relations avec près d'une vingtaine de chambres de commerce sur le continent africain. Port-Louis est connecté aux ports de Durban, de Cape Town, de Mombasa, de Dar es Salaam. Et en ce qui concerne l'accès aérien, nous avons ratifié des accords bilatéraux avec une bonne dizaine de pays africains. Et cerise sur le gâteau, l'île Maurice est tenue en haute estime par les hommes d'affaires et politiques de l'Afrique. Elle est un exemple de bonne gouvernance et de réussite économique. Cependant, beaucoup reste à faire. Au niveau politique, il est très important que la stratégie africaine de Maurice soit cohérente et approfondie. Nous devons formuler une vision qui soit alignée à des objectifs prédéfinis en termes d'une exportation soutenue de nos produits et services vers l'Afrique. Toute action menée dans cette optique doit se faire de manière coordonnée afin que l'île Maurice puisse parler d'une seule et même voix dans cette démarche de relever le défi africain. Je suis aussi d'avis que pour établir un ancrage au sein de ces marchés spécifiques, il nous faut intervenir dans les secteurs et des pays sélectionnés de manière stratégique. donc les critères de consommation concordent avec les produits mauriciens et vice-versa. Ladies and gentlemen, I often say that entrepreneurship is an acte de foi. But entrepreneurial activity is by no means based on the heroic act of an individual. Rather, it brings together an individual's intentions, capabilities, and all the distinct conditions of the environment in which the individual is located. A modern Mauritius needs a socially inclusive model of development geared by intellectual capital, knowledge, and skills. For us to move up the value chain, more effort is needed to improve the availability, quality, and relevance of skills. We must recognize that there are mismatches between skills supplied by our education system and the skills firms seek, leading to the paradoxical situation of high rates of unemployment among young graduates, persisting alongside complaints by employers of a shortage of workers with specific skills. We urgently need to create conducive ecosystems for the emergence of greater numbers of highly skilled people, as well as innovative firms. Entrepreneurship has to be promoted as a desirable career among our youngsters. At the level of my ministry, we continuously work on ways of improving enterprise access, managerial and entrepreneurial skills, on top of regular training programs organized by SMEDA. We are contemplating the possibility of devising an entrepreneurship curriculum in the context of a memorandum of understanding signed with the Indian government. I also urge our enterprises to invest as much as possible to become learning organizations so as to provide job-relevant skills and attitudes to their employees. It is indeed in this vein that my ministry, through SMEDA, will soon come up with a network of business incubators across the island. We want to spur knowledge-based enterprise development by providing opportunities for knowledge transfer as well as holistic suite of support services to entrepreneurs. While trying to devise pertinent action plans for several subsectors in the field of business and enterprise, we have noticed that many of them are at the crossroads between business as usual and developing new ways of doing business. In today's highly competitive market, one concept stands out as being the ingredient that will safeguard the sustainability of enterprises. And Ellen put it rightly so, that of innovation. Innovation is the most important driver of long-term prosperity of our country. Must be innovative enough to transcend our physical constraints, emerge as a reliable partner as well as grow and succeed against global competition. However, when compared with upper middle income countries that have similar population size such as Iceland and Cyprus, Mauritius is underperforming and is ranked 76 in the innovation ranking of the 2014-15 Global Competitiveness Index. During workshops or seminars organized by my ministry, I often urge entrepreneurs to focus on product innovation. A firm's capacity to innovate, or more broadly, its ability to creatively transform knowledge into ideas and ideas into new products, processes and systems is what will make it experience higher levels of productivity and economic growth. It is this category of firms that is more likely to export and export successfully. The capacity to innovate does not exclusively depend on complex technological processes. It is very often a question of creativity. In today's highly competitive global village, only the fittest survive, and the fittest are the ones who think out of the box. This is typical of what we call disruptive innovations. Innovations that create new markets by discovering new categories of customers, by developing new business models and exploiting old technologies in new ways. The adoption of such a mindset has the potential to end up by reshaping entire industry. We have seen this for long-distance calls like Skype, or video streaming with Netflix. We cannot be inward-looking in this highly globalized business world. Market and product research are critical. Our enterprises should develop a culture of searching, obtaining, and interpreting information regarding market assumptions, customers' expectations and customers' reactions to design and validate the choice of customer groups and the offer. It is then that they can perform research and development experiments and innovate. In addition, we know that Mauritius has generally done well in tapping into global knowledge through trade, but it is under-exploiting the absorption of technology through FDI and technology licensing. Given the small R&D and technology base in Mauritius, it is difficult as well as costly to develop more technologies domestically. And a reasonable approach would be to acquire or license technologies from more advanced countries. In this perspective, I am pleased to announce that a technology fair will be organized under the aegis of SMEDA during the last quarter of the current year. This B2B event will create the most effective linkages between several foreign technology providers and local businesses to facilitate technology transfer and absorption from one end to another. Cher capitaine d'industrie, le Premier ministre l'a clairement fait comprendre durant son allocution dans le cadre de la formulation de la vision économique du gouvernement. C'est en effet dans la mesure où le privé contribue activement à identifier les opportunités et les limites des cadres qui leur sont proposés que les acteurs politiques et le service public peuvent appréhender la pertinence de leurs actions. Le gouvernement a un mandat pour mener à bien la stratégie globale que je viens d'énoncer. Mais nous comptons également sur une coopération étroite de la part des opérateurs du secteur privé, notamment en matière d'investissement. D'ailleurs, c'est dans ce même esprit que l'Assemblée nationale vient tout juste de voter le Build and Operate Transfer Projects, BOT, un projet de loi qui met en place un cadre légal bien défini pour des projets de développement d'envergure sur la base du principe d'une entité privée construise et gère une infrastructure pour un laps de temps défini, après lequel le gouvernement rachète le projet en question. Ce n'est qu'en joignant nos forces que nous pourrons faire face aux défis auxquels notre pays est confronté. L'île Maurice sortira gagnant de la synergie que nous souhaitons établir avec le secteur privé, car cela nous permettra de formuler des stratégies claires et cohérentes. Je tiens à assurer la Chambre que, fidèle à cette tradition de coopération entre le secteur public et le privé, le gouvernement sera à l'écoute de vos préoccupations afin de mieux répondre à vos attentes et que celles-ci soient prises en compte dans la formulation de nos politiques économiques nationales. Je me permets de vous assurer que le gouvernement agira pleinement en sa capacité de facilitateur afin de créer un environnement propice à l'épanouissement des entreprises. Je félicite la présidente sortante pour le travail accompli durant l'année et je me réjouis d'une collaboration fructueuse avec le nouveau président en vue de cet objectif commun d'insuffler un nouveau dynamisme au secteur manufacturier ainsi qu'à l'ensemble du monde des affaires. Nul d'entre nous ici présents ne sait de manière précise ce qui nous attend dans les 15 années à venir. Ce dont nous pouvons cependant être sûrs, c'est que la seule constante demeure le changement. Notre capacité à respecter nos engagements économiques dépendra de notre détermination à faire que les choses bougent, de notre capacité à regarder ensemble dans la même direction. Je conclurai mon intervention en vous confiant mon état d'esprit à cet égard, en empruntant notamment les mots du Premier ministre lors de la formulation de la vision 2030. If we need to burn the midnight oil to attain our objectives, we are prepared to go that far. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.